Hello guys, Jared here, and as you can see I'm dressed for Christmas time. You can see my shirt, and obviously that means today I'm reviewing Christmas Vacation. Yeah, so I've been reviewing these films recently, and yeah, this is the start of December, so obviously I'll review this one, and this one was next. And I've already watched it this year. I watched it at the end of November, mainly because I've been reviewing these films, and also you can still watch Christmas movies at that time. I was feeling in kind of a Christmassy mood. So yeah, the plot of this one is Clark wants to make a great Christmas for his family, and he also wants to build a swimming pool in the garden with like the his Christmas bonus that he's hoping to get, and also like a lot of the family members come over to stay at their house, and this is the only one of the films that isn't like a road trip movie, uh, and it still has vacation in the title. I guess it's because it's a vacation for those other family members who come to stay at the house. One of the family members that comes is cousin Eddie, and also his family, and his wife and kids. The different kids from the ones you see in the first film. Uh, but in the first film he was shown having loads of kids anyway, um, and you can tell that Clark kind of can't stand cousin Eddie, but you know later on it shows like he wants to make a great Christmas for his kids as well. Like the scene where Clark has a conversation with Eddie's daughter. I think Ruby Sue was her name. That's a really nice and heartwarming scene. So it is nice that he wants to make a great Christmas for them, even though he kind of can't stand Eddie. So yeah, this is a great film that always puts me in the Christmassy mood, and I'd say this would have to be my favorite out of the Vacation series. I mean, I think mainly the reason is because of it being Christmassy, and I also do like a lot of the slapstick kind of comedy in this one. This one seems a lot more slapsticky than the previous two films. I mean, the first two had slapstick, but this one has a lot more, it seems. And I guess I do like it when a film series does a Christmas installment, because I mean, my favourite Muppet movie is The Muppet Christmas Carol. So I think that shows that I do like when film series do a Christmas installment. I do love the scene at the very beginning where they're going to get a Christmas tree, and it turns out like they didn't bring a saw, and like I think it was Rusty says like, "Dad, did you bring a saw?" And then you see Clark's reaction like, yeah, and then like when it cuts to them having the tree on the back of their car, but it still has the roots on it and the dirt. That was very funny. It's very good comedic editing in that scene, I thought. And later on when like family come, like a family member, Uncle Lewis, he like smokes a cigar and he sets the Christmas tree on fire. So then later on, Clark has to get a new Christmas tree, and this new one has a squirrel in it, and that causes chaos. And that's pretty funny with the squirrel running around. I'm not the biggest fan of this sort of artwork where they Photoshop pictures of the actors. I'd prefer um, like that sort of artwork. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do kind of like how they included the squirrel on there, because that's a great scene in the movie. Of course, Cousin Eddie is a much bigger character in this one than he was in the first one. In the first one, he was just in that one scene where they went to his house, but he's a much bigger character in this. And he's a really fun character, I think. And Randy Quaid just plays him really well. He is very funny. And like I said, the scene where Clark talks with his daughter is just really heartwarming. This one does seem a bit less sexual than the previous two films. Like there is still some sexual stuff, like the scene where Clark's with that woman in the Christmas shop, and I like how he says the words wrong. Like couldn't get hooter in it. Oh, I mean hotter. So it's a bit nipply out. I mean nippy out. Yeah, I like that. And then when Rusty comes in, that's a bit awkward. And then later on, when he's imagining the pool and the garden, he imagines her there as well. There's stuff like that, but it's generally not as sexual as the previous two films. It's rated a 12 over here, but when it first came out, they edited out the word fuck to give it a PG rating. The scene where he's like, "Well, the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny fucking Kaye." They edited that out in the UK release so that it could get a PG rating. because then you could only have one F word in a PG-13 rated movie, but at that time, a lot of PG-13 rated movies with an F word in them, when they released them in the UK, they edited that out so we could have a PG rating. Like some other examples I can think of were Police Academy 2, Spaceballs, and also Billy Madison. All those movies, they cut out the F word so that it could get a PG rating over here. All those movies I've mentioned, I believe they have since released the uncut version over here. But yeah, that is kind of an interesting thing that they used to do. And of course, just like the previous film, they recast the two kids again. And I'd say I prefer the Rusty and Audrey in this one over the ones in European Vacation. This one, Rusty is played by Johnny Galecki, and he's clearly a lot younger than he was in the previous film, but I know later on Johnny Galecki would be known for The Big Bang Theory, and I heard like some years ago he was going to make like a sitcom based on the Griswold family. I don't know what happened with that, but I heard apparently it was going to retcon the Ed Helms film, which I kind of feel like they didn't need to retcon that film because they've already changed the actor for Rusty many times anyway. But, and Audrey is played by Juliette Lewis. The other thing I know her from, she was in the Cape Fear, the Martin Scorsese version. And she's very good in that, and she's very good in this. So yeah, I do like both of their performances in this film. And the boss is called Frank Shirley, who's played by Brian Doyle Murray, who he was in the first film. The actor was, but he was playing as a different character, and it was only a small role in that first film. He's obviously a much bigger role in this film, and he's very good in the film. And the ending of this film is very similar to the ending of the first film, where there's a crazy thing where they get in trouble with the law. But then at the end of this one, Frank Shirley chooses not to press charges against them, and he sees the error of his ways. Much like at the end of the first film when Roy Wally decides not to press charges against them. And it's a very heartwarming ending, the ending to this film, especially because of the whole Christmas setting, and it's all about he learns that he should have given Clark a bigger Christmas bonus. And during the scene where the police show up at the end, it's playing the song "Here Comes Santa Claus." Interesting bit of trivia: I listened to the commentary on this, and in the commentary, Randy Quaid actually said that the guy who sings that song is actually related to him. So that was pretty interesting. And they also mentioned in the commentary they have Miriam Flynn, who is cousin Catherine, Eddie's wife. Clark has a Tasmanian devil mug in one scene, and Miriam Flynn mentions in the commentary that she was the voice of the Tasmanian devil's mother in a cartoon series. It was called like Tasmania, so that was pretty interesting. The opening credits of this one are very different from the opening credits of the first two. The first two had the opening credits being like showing like travel stuff, and it was playing the song Holiday Road. I think that song's very good, and I thought that was a very good way to open those films. But this one instead, you have the song Christmas Vacation. I think that's a very good song, and it's playing like this animation of Santa delivering the toys, and I thought that was a really nice way to open the film. It's good animation, and the Christmas Vacation song is really nice, and it gets you into a Christmas mood. I've heard that Chris Columbus was originally supposed to direct this, but he dropped out because he couldn't work with Chevy Chase because he was too difficult to work with. But that ended up with him directing Home Alone, with that being another Christmas movie written by John Hughes. But yeah, I remember watching The Movies That Make Us on Netflix. The episode on Home Alone, they mentioned like he was going to direct Christmas Vacation. He said he couldn't because Chevy Chase was and then it played the clip of where Clark's ranting about his boss. That was kind of a funny edit. But yeah, even if he was difficult to work with during the making, he still plays a likable character in the film itself. Also, as for some of the other family members, Ellen's mother in this is played by Doris Roberts. She would later be in Everybody Loves Raymond, and this is kind of a similar character to that, where she's playing a very controlling mother. Like in the scene in this where, she's like, "Ellen, are you smoking again?" Yeah. And you also have like Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany, and Uncle Lewis is played by William Hickey. He was in another Christmas classic. He was the voice of Dr. Fickelstein in The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I know his last ever movie was the movie Mouse Hunt. I love that movie. Yeah, it's kind of ironic. His character was dead in the movie, but sadly he died by the time that movie came out. But yeah, that is still a great film, Mouse Hunt. And Aunt Bethany is played by May Kestrel or something. She was the original voice of Betty Boop, which is pretty interesting. You can hear Betty Boop in her voice. But yeah, they have funny chemistry. I like when she's asked to say grace, and then she's like, "Oh, Grace, she died years ago." And Uncle Lewis is like, "Oh, they want you to say grace." Yeah, that's great. And also, like when they come in and Clark takes off Uncle Lewis's hat and his like toupee comes off as well. That's a funny scene. And also, like, because Aunt Bethany is a very confused woman, and she apparently wrapped up her cat and had that as a present. And Ellen explains that she's very old and gets confused, and she takes things from around her house and wraps them up. Uh, yeah. What ends up happening with the cat is similar to, I guess, what they did with the dog in the first film, and it's kind of interesting that these films are able to kill off pets and still make it funny. So overall, I absolutely love this movie. I will certainly be rewatching it again sometime this December because it's just a Christmas classic. If you haven't seen it for whatever reason, go check it out now for Christmas. Yeah, it is a great time. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed, and bye.